Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Cutting Edge Benefits Podcast with our other host now, Anthony McMahon. Anthony's taking us in more of what he's seeing day to day as as an expert involving specialist involving in the health insurance field and a health insurance specialist, plus sales, helping companies save so much in healthcare. While when we talk to Tom really gives us the major news and his experience of 30 plus years in this. But you're seeing it in the ground up. What's happening today, Anthony? So our topic is today is kind of looking at, I don't want to get rid of my broker. I don't want to change plans. And what happens in that process?
Yeah, so, I know Tom always keeps it, very high level. He's much more knowledgeable than me, but just kind of want to give some of the, nitty gritty on the ground. We're getting a ton of groups. We're helping a ton of businesses save money and their employees, which is great. But it's just a really common, it's not even an objection, but a request that I see time and time again. And I actually had a conversation today that was fairly similar was, hey, I've been with my broker for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Like, I don't want to, keep them out of the loop. Can we implement your solution, achieve the savings that we're looking at with you guys and with the ClaimLinx solution, but still have my broker in play? Theoretically, yes. A lot of the time in reality, no. And reason being is just to kind of peel back the curtain. The way the insurance industry works is that these brokers and agents are getting paid commissions based on those policies. So the higher the premiums are, the more their commission is. They'll get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% of those annual premiums paid to them via commission by the insurance carrier. What we're saying is, hey, buy the highest deductible, lowest cost option with the same network. And when you do that, typically your premiums are going to get cut 50%, give or take. So from the agent's ears, the broker's ears, all they're hearing is 50% reduction in premium, 50% reduction in my commission. So a lot of the time what I tell these owners is, hey, I understand you have a long-standing relationship with them. I understand that, it's not, you don't want to be fully cutthroat, but you also shouldn't let that relationship get in the way of saving $250,000, $500,000 for your company and, saving your employees money on their paycheck. So there's a couple alternatives. You could say, hey, agent, you have to work, within the purview of ClaimLinx now, go with their directive, get the highest deductible, lowest cost options that have the PPOs so we can get those premiums down, implement the MERP, generate the savings, and so on and so forth. Or, I mean, in some cases, it's just as simple as everything gets turned over to us and maybe the broker gets paid a retainer fee, by the company just for goodwill. Maybe they're there to help service employees or, help other functions. And, it's completely up to the discretion of the business or the owner. If they want to keep paying them, that's fine. But a lot of the time, I feel those relationships, unfortunately, get in the way of greater savings for the company, more profitability, and more retained savings for the employees and better benefits as well. So there's a lot we can do, but I just want to make sure that those that have that feeling as business owners just know that you can still maintain that relationship while implementing our solution and generating those great outcomes for the business.
Have you created those relationships before?
Yeah, I mean, Tom's done it a bunch. I've done it some. And unfortunately, a lot of brokers are adversarial about it. They'll mislead the clients. They'll throw 80 different things of jargon in their face and give them every reason under the sun why they can't implement our solution. But if we get down to the nitty gritty of it and the math, I mean, it really speaks for itself. So, a lot of the time I try to bridge that gap. Unfortunately, they don't want to comply, but some of them do. And those that do, from what I find, want to keep the account, do what's right and best by the business, and can swallow their pride and want to work with us to get a better outcome. And those are the folks that I really want to focus on here are the business owners that want to get great outcomes for their business, save money, improve their employees' benefits, and have a broker or an agent that wants that same outcome for them as well. If it means they're going to make 20, 30, 40% less, they're fine with it as long as their client is getting a better outcome. Those are the folks that we want to work with. And we just simply need them to work with us instead of against us and get us the type of primary plans that we need with those reduced premiums to generate those savings so that we can do our thing.
It's better than them losing the account altogether.
Yes, and unfortunately, that's a lot of the time when brokers end up wanting to work with us is when they're kind of on their last straw with the business and they've run out of options. They've thrown everything against the wall and nothing that they can do can save them money. So, I guess their psychology gets to the point of, 100% of nothing is much worse than, 50% of something. And at that point, a lot of them end up bringing us in, saving the account, retaining the relationship and the client, and they get a piece of it. But I think people and brokers should be more proactive than that. I think that if I was a typical agent or broker that was selling health insurance, I would want to have this in my tool belt as a tool to bring in front of my clients and come to some sort of arrangement with them, some sort of an arrangement with ClaimLinx to get better outcomes. Because if they get better outcomes, it could lead the business elsewhere. So this is really just to say it doesn't have to be as adversarial as it typically is. Business owners don't have to just be cutthroat and drop their broker of 30 years because we found them $500,000 of savings. We can, work something out that's good for all parties that doesn't affect the company negatively, still maintains that relationship, but also implements our solution to do what it has to do to, get those great outcomes.
Do you ever have brokers partner with you straight out before they've retained even that client, or they're looking at going and getting a business and they see you guys as a solution to even have a better outcome opportunity?
Yeah, there's a subset of brokers out there that are extremely open-minded. They're always looking for the best solution and they're not tied to, selling one type of product or selling one type of insurance carrier or doing things in old ways. So this isn't casting a spell on all brokers out there. I mean, I would say 80% of them fall under the prior bucket, but there are a good percentage and subset that we work with that send us a ton of business. We do a ton of business together. Their clients are happy, they're happy, we're happy. So it really can work. It's just these brokers need to be open-minded, and these business owners, a lot of the time it's crazy. A lot of the time they put that relationship ahead of the company financial health or even their employees' paychecks through the payroll deductions that are paying for health insurance. And obviously I don't want to blast anybody here, but I've seen it where they're like, hey, here's a $500,000 of savings, but you have to switch to us and put in our solution. And, in so many words, they're like, hey, I want to stick with our current broker and keep it the same. And, their costs stay the same or go up and, nothing changes. So in that essence, they took that relationship over the financial stability of their own company and their employees, which is crazy to me, but, you know.
It is what it is. All right. So the best way people can get in touch with you, Anthony, is really simple. What can they do?
Yeah, go to claimlinx.com. I would suggest that any business owner or even a broker out there that has clients, you know their information in terms of how many members are on the plan, how much they're paying for premium, which carrier they're with. Go to our savings calculator on our website, plug in those numbers, see what the savings look like. Obviously, it's not going to be specific down to the wire or down to the penny, but it'll give you a general idea of how much that company could save, whether you're the broker or whether you're the business owner. Go on there. If the savings, look worthwhile, go ahead and book a call. You'll get right on my calendar or right on Tom's calendar or right on Caitlin's calendar. And we'll have a consultation with you, figure it out, and see what the best path is forward to save you and your employees money and improve the benefits. So go to claimlinx.com and we can definitely help you guys out.
All right. That was the Cutting Edge Benefits podcast. Take care, guys.
See you.